Grace, a 74-year-old woman from Texas, had lived her entire life for other people, her husband, who passed away years ago, her children, who had grown up into entitled adults, and her grandchildren, who only knew her as the old lady who always had money, gifts, or babysitting time ready. For decades, she cooked their favorite meals, babysat their kids, paid their bills when they were short, and forgave their rudeness again and again, thinking maybe next year, next month, or next birthday they would finally appreciate her. But that hope slowly faded into exhaustion. She had always been gentle, patient, soft-spoken, the one who never complained, the one who cleaned up emotional messes without being thanked. She believed love meant endurance. She believed motherhood meant sacrifice. But one Mother's Day changed everything forever. That morning, the sunlight entered her house like any normal day, warm and golden on the kitchen floor, the smell of fresh pancakes still in the air. Yet inside her chest, there was a strange heaviness she ignored. She had made pancakes for her grandchildren, cleaned the table, and prepared tea for her daughter, Emily, who barely acknowledged her. As noon approached, Emily smirked and handed her a card, insisting she read it out loud in front of everyone. Her son-in-law, Mark, her 2 teenage grandkids, and even the neighbor who had stopped by. Grace felt awkward but smiled, thinking maybe they'd written something sweet this year. She sat down, opened the envelope with careful old fingers, and when her eyes read the words, her throat closed. Roses are red, violets are blue, you're a heavy burden, and no one wants you here. Laughter burst from the table. The teenagers clapped. Emily giggled as if she had made the world's funniest joke. Grace's heart shredded quietly inside her chest, but she forced a smile that broke halfway. She stood up, pretending she needed the bathroom, but when she reached her bedroom upstairs, her knees nearly collapsed. She sat on the edge of her bed, staring at her trembling hands, trying to understand how the people she had loved more than her own dreams could humiliate her like this. That day, something inside her died, but something else was born, a quiet strength she never knew she had.
By nightfall, she made the biggest decision of her life. She called her lawyer, Mr. Thompson, and told him calmly, "I want out of this life, and I need your help." He hesitated, but hearing her voice steady, broken, yet determined made him understand that this wasn't impulsive. This was liberation. Within a week, she sold her Texas house, consolidated her savings, cleared her accounts, and silently packed her old suitcase. She left only a small handwritten note on the dining table. "I am not your burden anymore." Then she booked a flight to Nassau, a place she had once seen in a travel magazine but never believed she deserved to visit. When the plane landed in the Bahamas, warm breezes kissed her cheeks, and for the first time in years, her shoulders relaxed. She bought a 3-bedroom condo facing the ocean, a condo filled with sunlight, sea salt air, and the smell of freedom. Every night she stood on her balcony watching the moon float above the waves, whispering to herself, "This is where my soul breathes." She joined a senior cooking club, made friends who valued her, laughed without fear, and for the first time in decades, lived for herself. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and Grace blossomed. She wore bright dresses, soft sandals, a straw hat, and walked the streets of Nassau with peace shining on her face. Locals called her Miss Graceful, and she felt like she had been reborn. Meanwhile, in Texas, chaos erupted. Bills flooded in. The mortgaged house came under pressure. Emily realized the credit card linked to Grace's bank account was no longer working. Suddenly, the woman they had mocked was the woman they depended on financially. When a letter arrived from Grace's lawyer stating that she had removed the entire family from her estate, panic turned into rage. Emily threw the paper across the room, shouting, "How dare she?" Not once did anyone say, "What if we hurt her?" No, their fear wasn't about losing her. It was about losing her money. Eventually, driven by greed and desperation, they booked a flight to Nassau to bring her home. They rehearsed fake apologies, practiced teary expressions, and even bought flowers, but they didn't practice honesty. One sunny afternoon, Grace heard a firm knock on her door. She opened it and froze. Her entire family stood there. Emily, with a pretended sad face, Mark holding a bouquet, and the grandkids looking bored but curious. Grace felt her heartbeat slow. She wasn't afraid. She was prepared. She welcomed them in politely and served them tea like a stranger would. Emily started the performance immediately. Mom, we've missed you so much. Please come home. The house feels empty without you. Grace watched her carefully, noting the lack of genuine emotion in her daughter's eyes. She patiently let them speak, let them lie, let them pretend. Then she set her cup down and asked, "Why are you really here?" They froze. Mark stammered something about family unity, but Grace interrupted. "You didn't come for me. You came for what you thought you owned." Silence filled the room like a storm. Emily's fake tears vanished. The grandkids looked at their phones. Mark's jaw tightened. Grace stood, her posture straight, her voice calm, steady like the ocean behind her. "You laughed at my pain. You dismissed my existence. You treated me like an inconvenience. Mother's Day showed me exactly what I meant to you." Emily tried to speak, but Grace raised her hand. "I spent my whole life giving, forgiving, sacrificing, thinking one day I would finally be enough for you. But I learned something here." She walked to the balcony and opened the doors. Warm wind rushed inside. Love without respect is not love. It is exploitation. She turned back to them. "You did not lose me because I left. You lost me when you laughed at that card." Tears rolled down Grace's cheeks, quiet, dignified tears that came not from pain, but from release. Emily tried one last time. "Mom, please." But Grace gave her the final answer. "No, I am done being your burden. I am my own freedom now." She escorted them to the door, and before they left, she said softly, "I forgive you, but forgiveness does not mean return." She closed the door gently, almost peacefully. On the other side, her family stood stunned, realizing the woman they underestimated had become stronger than all of them combined. Inside, Grace leaned against the door, breathing deeply, the kind of breath you take after breaking a lifelong chain. She stepped onto her balcony, watching the sunset paint the sky in golds and purples. The ocean roared softly, celebrating her strength. Below, the gentle hum of Nassau life continued, children playing, birds calling, waves breaking. For the first time in 74 years, she wasn't living for anyone else. She wasn't someone's maid, someone's babysitter, someone's ATM. She was simply Grace, a woman who survived heartbreak, found herself, and chose peace over blood. She realized something powerful as the last light of day kissed the horizon. Sometimes family isn't the people you're born to. Sometimes family is the life you choose, the peace you protect, and the strength you build. And on that warm evening, in her quiet oceanfront condo, Grace finally understood that her new life, her true life, had only just begun.